and I'm here with Ursula and Howard Barron, and we're going to talk about the Holocaust a little bit. So let's start with, where were you born?
I was born in Hamburg, Germany, and we came here after Kristallnacht. My father was put in a concentration camp, but we had our papers to come to the United States.
I was born in a hick town in central Germany. The name of it was Fürth am Edersee. I came here, I turned 14 here. I came here February 18th, 1938, March 29th, I turned 14. I started high school here. I started at girls' commercial, but then my parents said, you must learn the trade. So I was going to become a beautician, but you couldn't take beauty culture till third term. So I started sewing. I was very good at sewing and better at designing. However, when I never became a beautician because I was good at sewing and designing. And my first job when they placed me, I was pressing ties for Sulker and Company. And I hated that. Somebody offered me a job on Wall Street as a bookkeeper, and that's what I became.
Oh, that's really, really good.
I worked for Francis I. Dupont on Wall Street. I'm in the bookkeeping department.
When did you get married?
February 18th. When did we get married? September 30th, 1944.
After I came back from overseas.
After he came back from overseas, we were engaged, we got married, but we didn't have a child till when?
4 years later.
4 years later, because we couldn't afford to have a kid. We lived with my parents, we didn't have an apartment. So after 4 years, we had an apartment, and we had a little girl.
How did you come here?
Us?
Yes.
My uncle, I think my uncle sent us papers to come. He was here.
Wow.
And
well, we all needed affidavits. Somebody had to vouch for us.
To come here?
To come here.
Okay.
So we had an uncle who was, I guess, had sufficient funds.
he had to put at that time $1,500, put it aside that in case we needed money. But for $10 a week, we could basically live.
$10? Wow.
Well,
I made 25 cents an hour, first job, and when we made overtime, I got 12.5 cents an hour, not time and a half time. That's how it was then. But things have changed.
and my family came over. We had a very, very distant cousin of my grandfather. Apparently had a lot of money. He brought at least 100 people over. His name was Sal Katzenstein. And then the American government, their infinite wisdom said, Mr. Katzenstein had to support all these people. He couldn't. That was the end of it. I never met the man. My parents went to see him and thank him and brought him gifts, whatever we could bring. My mother had made it, crocheted a tablecloth, things like that. Couldn't bring anything out of Germany. So we came here in February 18th, 1938. My parents and I, my brother was here already. That was it.
So
It was a very difficult time. My father was a butcher, couldn't find a job. We lived in Brooklyn. He was washing dishes in Long Beach, New York. We saw him a half a day every other week. That was very difficult. My father-in-law, on the other hand, couldn't work at all. He supported the family. My father-in-law was in concentration camp. They wanted to take him. He was only a kid, but my mother-in-law talked them out of it. He's only a child. So he supported his family. It was a difficult time for us.
So how did you build a living once you came to America? How did you start working? Where did you work?
Like I said, had the first job for a short time, and then I got a job on Wall Street, and I was making $10 a week, and sometimes a little bit more when we made overtime. And then I quit there, and then I quit there, and I got a job in a tool die making factory. I had learned in Germany already. I had taken a course in tool and die making, and I worked there for a while, and then I goofed off, and I got fired. I got fired, and then I went to one of the supply houses we worked with, and I told him I got fired. He says, "Wait, I got a job for you," and I made twice as much money.
That's great.
And I turned 14 here.
Mhm.
So after school, I started at Girls Commercial. And then after a little while, I said, you can't, Girls Commercial, you can't get jobs. There are no jobs available. You have to learn a trade. So my parents made me switch schools. I was going to be a beautician, but you couldn't take beauty culture till third term.
Mhm.
So I started sewing. I was so good at sewing. And I worked on Wall Street. That's what
great.
I did.
Both of you. That's great.
Yes, I worked there. First I got it, and then I quit Wall Street. I got a job with a friend of ours who worked there already, friend of mine. And it was, it was time, we were married, and it was time to have a child. I quit, and I had a baby.
It's great.
Yeah, so life was...
Once we got the apartment,
we had to get an apartment. We lived with my parents for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. And finally, a cousin of my father's moved to California. We had to buy that crappy old furniture in order to get the apartment. And we did, and we lived. Lucky for us, they lived on the 4th floor, walk up. Somebody wanted that apartment. It was a 5-room apartment. We got an apartment 1 flight up.
It's great.
Steps in front of the door. And then I had a baby, and then we had another one, and there's our family.
They're beautiful.
Yes, and we made it.
It's
We
great.
made it. We met in a little park. It's not near the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, 3 girls' high schools. And in front of the high schools is just a little seating area. And on the other side is the Brooklyn Museum. So you have 3 high schools, the little seating area, and of course the main street is the Brooklyn Museum. And the refugees used to go and sit there at night to catch up with one another and catch a breath of fresh air. So the kids, we were the kids. We sat on the railing. One night he walked in, and we started to talk. He went home, and I have to tell you that what he said to his mother. He was an only child, supporting a family, a mother, a father, and a grandmother. My father-in-law couldn't work. He had come out of concentration camp. He said, I met a cute little girl in Brooklyn, and I'm going to marry. She almost killed him.
Oh my gosh.
He was the sole supporter.
So if there's anything you would say is the most important thing that happened during the Holocaust that you experienced?
It was very difficult living in a small town.
Of course.
It was difficult. My father had to give up his business, but we got out early enough. We got papers to America early enough to sell our house.
That's good. That's really good.
I mean, the other Jews were compensated later on after the war. But we came out and it became my America. And I met them. So,
It's
That's
great.
the end.
yeah.
Thank you, Ursula and Howard.